Today's episode of Shifting Gears is brought to you by Ice Cream. You scream ice cream. We all scream for Polt. Welcome to Shifting Gears. I'm your host, Clutch. Joining me once again, hopefully his webcam is going to turn on, but it's going to caterpillar until then. Maybe it might turn into a beautiful butterfly by the time this episode is over. We have with me admin and I have to say the community stream producer for MLG. We have DB Wiggin. Wiggin?
Woo, go me.
Go you.
It's probably for the better. I'm not looking my best. I'm on day 2 of my post-event hangover. There's the first day, which is spent mostly in airports where I'm actually hungover because the open bars are really nice, and then this is the I'm exhausted from a weekend of sprinting around hangover part.
Great.
So.
Well, I'm suffering from not having enough light yet in my place. I actually finally got all my stuff shipped from Virginia. I sent a picture of that out. So I still have to spend time putting my apartment together, maybe for the 4th of July, which I don't even think I have that day off. But even so, I'll try to spend it putting together more of my apartment, making it a little bit more suitable for streaming when I can. But I hardly ever have time, man. Just this show and then working on everything. And then now WCS is going to be live at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time now for America. So I'm like, why? Why? I don't want to change the time for this show. All right, joining us as well is Duckville, LOL, the guy that holds down the South America Australia district, spreading freedom across the southern hemisphere. Duckville, thanks for joining us.
No worries, mate. It's been a hectic week for me, and I've actually had like a lot of IRL work stuff to do, but I've finally got some more casts up, and I'm going to be doing IEM this weekend.
Cool.
And yeah, so it's been an interesting week, and of course MLG was a lot of fun on the weekend. So
it was a lot of fun. We're going to talk about that a lot today, because myself and Wiggin were there, and Duckville, you got to watch it, especially the finals. The first thing I want to talk about for the MLG Spring Championship was the community caster program. I helped oversee the beta caster program when MLG had that as a program with the gold membership back in 2011. And to see it pretty much...
it was our first date.
Yeah, it was. That was a first date. That's what began this beautiful relationship. To see it outsourced to NASL and to the rest of the community streamers, I call it the DreamHack method, or the DreamHack model of doing it that way. Right off the bat, I want to get your guys' opinion. Would you rather have a second stage, like the blue stream, with the other games and then a number of other community casters that are physically there at the event, or would you have it outsourced to different physical locations, like the NASL studio, like the other individual broadcasters? Dave, I want to hear your thoughts first, since you were the one that oversaw that entire program this weekend.
Well, so I think you always want people on site, like ideally, because then you can control the level of production. You can coordinate things much easier. You know, it's just pretty much better in every way, because you actually have almost like a studio like setting, like NASL had. But that's not always possible, right? The
there's
reason
budgets and all time configurations, all sorts of things that make it very, very stressful.
Yeah, the reason the offsite stuff is nice is because you can get more people involved and have a bigger variety of things and put the funding you might take to flying, like imagine trying to fly all those casters out. You can put that to something else, like a bigger prize pool or whatever in the future.
That's true.
So I don't know. I think that the offsite thing makes more sense now for the scene as it is now than it would be trying to fly in all these different people. And it gives more lesser known casters more of an opportunity, because they can still be on that same stage where you're casting in MLG Live, but I'm sure at some point we'll have casters that nobody would really fly out, right? Because they're not popular enough, they're new or something like that. But then they get that chance because they can produce it from their home. So I think, of course, I'd rather have us have 6 stages and everything, and be in a stadium. But I think the community caster, the way it is offsite, works great, especially when you can throw to guys like the NASL guys, who are just fantastic.
Yeah.
Like that was the easiest thing for me ever, man. Working with those guys.
Well, we have a formulaic system of how to do that, and we have a production team there. It's not just one person sitting in front of a webcam, you know. Duckville, your thoughts? Were you able to watch any of it, or did you pretty much follow the main storyline of the main broadcast?
I watched I watched a little bit of the community streams. I saw Project, who's a friend of mine, and I really liked the work that he did on his stream, sort of cycling through it with a couple of guys. I thought that was really interesting on their one, to see them sort of rotate who was actually doing it. You may see me looking up left and right. There's actually this weird bug in the corner of my room. But anyway, yeah.
You might die. It's a weird
I know. I probably could.
What's a weird bug to an Australian? Does it have like 12 legs or like?
It's
Does it eat birds?
It's pretty big. That's it. I was going to deal with it before, but I forgot about it because, you know, what big deal. But no, I watched a couple of the community streams. I thought they were done, you know, quite decently. There's no real issues. I did mention to Wigan partway through, I think it was day 2 or something like that. I mentioned that it would be nice to actually have labels on the streams to tell you who was casting, because some of the time, and I think that it was the same thing for us at DreamHack when we were streaming, although there was a difference that we were doing it on our own channels, is that you randomly jump onto a stream and it's at the start of a game. You don't actually know who's casting because there's no label on the Twitch address. There's no label on the game screen anywhere, and you only find out after the game is over. So it's a very tiny sort of I suppose it was an issue, but not really an issue. But just a tiny thing that I pointed out. Other than that, everything worked really well. I think Artosis's comment or supposed comment, I never actually heard it, but having community streams is a bad idea is probably one of the dumbest things he's ever said.
That sounds like something that Reddit took out of context or something. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's way more to that statement than...
No, exactly. Like I said, I don't actually... I still have not actually seen the context of that. But if he did, that was a pretty dumb thing, because the thing with the mainstream, obviously, it's there to build a storyline. But the problem with me for that idea is that are you going to have the same person on the mainstream the whole time? Because if you're not, then how are you building a storyline? All you're doing, the only storyline building aspect of the mainstream is that you could show the brackets every now and then, and everybody gets to see the brackets. And you can say, all right, well, D is doing really well. He's destroyed every single person. Polt somehow, making his way through the bracket when he's beaten all these people. And without the community streams, this is the big problem that the three of us and other individuals have spoken about many, many times before, is that there are some fantastic games that happen off the mainstream. Like from the first game that I ever casted from MLG, which was before Clutch and some of the other guys had set up the community system way back in 2011, was Avillo versus Bosnick, which was off the mainstream. It was in the massive player pool. This is from, for those of you wondering what I'm talking about, this is from like early 2011 with one of the MLG, I think it was like Dallas or something like that. And it was Avillo versus Bosnick. It was a TVP on Tal'Darim Altar. And it was one of the most amazing games I've ever seen, because there was like Avillo, doing his standard sort of very passive sort of stuff and he used like 42 nukes in the entire game. If this was sort of modern MLG where there's no replays and let's just say, for example, there was no community stream, no one would have ever seen that. You would have heard about it, but you would never have seen it. And to me, that would be a bit of a travesty to miss out on some of those games. So I was really, really happy to see that MLG was looking to bring back the community streams, at least for one of these bigger open events. If it's some of the smaller events, it's not that much of a big deal, but still, I mean, it's a really good thing to have.
Well, it puts it in the archives of the match got broadcasted. The thing
Exactly.
that I would love to see, and David and I and myself, or David, Duckville, and myself have talked about this a lot, is how do we combine that story of what's happening in the open bracket together? And that's when you have talent when there's downtime, say, hey, this game happened. It was between these two players. This is one of the best moments, and you have it captured in a 720 video. The codec might not be the best, but you can still show, like, hey, this was the turning point. Therefore, they defeated this person. They're going to move on to the next bracket. Back to you guys. 30-second little thing you can produce real quickly if you had an editor there, an editing bay there, or one of the community casters. Even on Twitch, on the VODs, if the Twitch VODs are accessible, if the stream's accessible, you can just get on OBS and capture it and have a 30-second little MP4 and then play that, production-wise. And yeah, it's tough. It's another person, it's another computer, it's another editor you have to purchase. So budgeting-wise, it's very, very difficult to do that if you're already on a tight budget. But combining the story and trying to tell the storyline in a unified story for the event, that is very, very important. And obviously, the main stream is going to be the biggest story. And so how do you tie the other streams into that story? And that, to me, is just the next step. I think it was cool. I think it was cool to have that because people want to see their favorite players compete. And they might not be on the main stage, but they can be in some of the other streams. And regionally, people want to, they want to watch Moonglade's games, so they want to watch those games on NASL or the other ones. And I can completely understand that. You want to make it more accessible to those 10, 20, 30, couple hundred fans. They really enjoy that. But to be able to combine it into one story, I think is really, really important. And yeah, it takes another level of production coordination. It's difficult to do in a live setting because you, at the same time, you do not want to sacrifice any quality of the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that regional thing you mentioned with the people who, who the very niche sort of markets, for example, like Australian players or even the New Zealand players like Tilia. And I experienced this. I think I spoke about it just after we did the show after DreamHack. Was that there's certain groups of fans who are going to watch anyway. Even if you're doing a community stream and it's like 360p and you don't have fancy graphics and all that kind of crap, is that they'll come and they'll watch anyway just to cheer on either their own countrymen or one of their favorite players. And I experienced that with DreamHack doing the Finnish players, the Czech players, the Polish players supporting Mana and stuff like that. And I think if you weren't to have that, they would just, you would probably lose a lot of interest. You would probably lose a lot of views and that kind of stuff, which all in the end ticks around, and then people such as the higher ups at MLG would say, well, we missed out on 2,000 people. What's the reason for that? Oh, it's because we had no one broadcasting Elfie and his 20 APM. So, that's also another reason, as you said, is it's really good to have those extra streams there just to cover those niche sort of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a novelty. It's neat. It's cool to have. And if it doesn't, again, sacrifice the main storyline or the main broadcast, why not? It worked for DreamHack. Sham 2 was able to commentate a lot lately, for DreamHack. It's always good to see him doing well because him and I got to commentate a little bit in New York about a year ago. To have Nathanius, who was able to do so with DreamHack, and then he got to physically go to DreamHack. And that guy is so much fun in person. He is so excited about StarCraft all the time. We were cracking jokes during the finals and having a great time. So he's another guy that is incredibly enthusiastic. And if you get a lot of these people a chance, again, I'm going to go back a couple months here with Apollo saying something that I semi-disagreed with like, well, where are all the commentators in America? We need more. It's like, they tried, man. They got burned out because the doors that were open closed for talent at a specific time. Yep. But having these type of events allows a little bit of that spotlight to shine on some people that want to get their name out there when it comes to being an entertainer. If they're not entertaining, then obviously people aren't going to watch. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad that people enjoyed it, that people enjoyed the NASL one, obviously. I was there for about 10 minutes one morning when they were broadcasting because they were waiting for a game because I had to pick up something at the office before I headed down the second day. Because I spent the majority of the day filming for Blizzard, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of games except Sunday. But I did see the Hyun and Hero series, and that was incredible. So
just before we move on to the other players, you were just talking about oh my god, now it's just totally fallen out of my head.
I was talking about streams, NASL,
Hyun, Hero, NASL.
Oh right, new sort of community talent coming up. It's also a slight. There's also like a very small thing of that. If you don't get to experience, not necessarily being there in person, but at least being a part of a larger event where you do get a larger amount of viewers, then you may not necessarily know. You may not get the same sort of feedback relating to how good you are, how good your analysis casting is, how good your play-by-play is, all that kind of stuff. Because let's just say, for example, like for me in the very earlier days when I started casting, getting 20 views on a video or something, that like you rarely ever get feedback with anything less than about 1,000 views.
Yeah.
And if you then at least get the chance to get on a stream for DreamHack, for MLG, for IEM, for whatever, you then get a chance to have a couple of thousand people potentially watching you, and then you'll actually get hopefully some constructive criticism if based on your casting skills, and then you can either improve if you're looking to really have a go at it, or if it's just not, if it's something you're testing out, then you can say, all right, well, maybe I'm not totally fluent with this, so I'm going to move on. So I think that's another part. As to Apollo's point that you were pointing out there, is where's the talent? Well, where's the potential for them to get a test of what it's like to actually have some good streaming going?
Yeah, and these are the type of opportunities where they can have a chance to shine. And this was the same for Axel Toss when he was one of the beta casters. He would send in requests from me, just like you did, Duckville, for like, hey, can I commentate some more games for my YouTube channel? Sure, I'll send him a couple more. And then he'll let me know when the files are ready, and I'd upload them on the system that MLG had, and then I'd have to do it in French because his French team wanted to commentate.
Yeah.
That was the freshman class of eSports back in 2011. And that's what it was 2 years ago. And so in that 2-year kind of cycle, some more people want to try to get their name out there. But there's only so much room. There's only so much room for that type of talent. Okay, let's go ahead and shift gears now and talk about the players themselves. The first player I want to talk about is Naniwa, because that was the most controversial player. Oh, surprise, not really, of the event. And I am not going to give my opinion on it because I've worked with Naniwa, and he's not the greatest person to work with, period. Everybody knows that. However, Duckville, your mic is muted, by the way.
Oops, sorry.
So what did you say? I saw your mouth moving. I was like, are you just mouthing what I'm saying? Or are you trying to talk?
No. I was going to say, is this one of those things where I'm the only person who is like not, restricted on saying something about
Probably. Listen. I mean, I respect Naniwa as a player. He's a fantastic player, and him and I've had some good conversations with him. But at the same time, that type of controversy, people love it. It's great for the show. It's great for the scene. And I invite him to continue doing what he's doing as long as he listens to the admins and doesn't delay the show. But I thought that was very enjoyable, and I've had conversations with people at Blizzard, and obviously they want people to be respectful, but at the same time, they want some personality to be shown. So It was good. And Naniwa backs it up with his play. He really does. He's a fantastic player. Dave, I know you're limited in what you can say about this, but if you do have something to say, go ahead.
All right, I can rant.
Sure. No, I mean, so you sort of hinted at exactly the way you have to look at Naniwa, and that Naniwa should look at how he conducts himself, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's very entertaining. Controversy is entertaining. It really is. It's good for the show. It's fun to watch rivalries, and he's probably the best player outside of Korea right now. Like, he's absolutely good at his game, and that's part of why he can get away with saying the things he does. He's a great player. I think where people have a problem with Naniwa is that there's like a show personality, and then there's your like off-camera personality, and there's no difference for Naniwa. He'll say certain things or act certain ways to anybody, not just bad mannering on stage or something like that. So that's why a lot of people have a hard time working with him.
Yep.
But I mean, like you're right. It's entertaining. Like look at a guy like Keen who does ceremonies a lot, or Firebite Hero from Brood War does ceremonies a lot. It's flat out entertaining. So, and what are you gonna do?
That's the show. It's part of the nature of the beast. All right, Duckville, you can rant. So go ahead and rant. And these are the opinions of every person on this show.
I will say one. I will say one thing.
Okay.
Just really briefly, is that he shouldn't be surprised when people in the community are angry at him for saying certain things. Like, if you're going to be a controversial figure, then expect controversial feedback. It's kind of ridiculous to compare like Polt thumbs downing him, like during a ceremony, which he did to another notable Korean player, to like not shaking someone's hand or calling them a bitch on stage. Like those are like, I'm not saying that he should never do those things, but they're very different, and you have to understand how people are going to take that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, Duckville.
Yeah, I actually missed the live version of what happened, but I watched the VODs and I thought it was kind of funny. There's a few aspects to go over. I also just want to point out to the guys on the stream watching, I only just fixed up the Twitch chat, so now I can see people talking in chat. So if you had any questions,
I think it just started
this,
working for everybody right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah. Make sure you repost your questions, because we wouldn't have seen them, or if you somehow did get chat. Anyway,
This is an open forum. If you have questions in chat,
Yeah.
feel free to ask.
there's a couple of things, like you mentioned, Clutch, with the entertainment factor. The big entertainment factor is a really, really big thing, because we're talking about a community and an event and a general scene overall, where you have the Korean players who provide you with the mechanical, strategic skill set that makes the game entertaining. So that's talking more about a very much the actual the game itself being entertaining. Then you have players such as MC, Naniwa, even Hydra if he was still around, and like Cruncher when we had the Hydra Cruncher thing.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things are outside the game, and then obviously add in your entertainment factor there. The thing about Naniwa and why so far I'm kind of glad that no one has just sort of gone mad pitchfork mode like Reddit normally does with some people, is that without Naniwa you lose one of those very few people who has that outside entertainment sort of factor. And then, as you said, he also provides the mechanical and the strategic and the actual game entertainment factor, because he is a good player. And I think I sort of mentioned Hydra, and it's kind of ironic, is that you have a player who, you have Naniwa, who does this, kind of what is considered sort of BM stuff, or all this rude kind of stuff, but then actually backs it up. So, I kind of think it also helps the players brand themselves a little bit. Like, while you don't necessarily have people who can cope with being the bad boy, Naniwa seems to be okay with it. It's not as if he has a breakdown after every match or something like that, and then goes nuts or cries or something like that. But if you can brand yourself that way, and then at least back yourself up with the performances in the actual, on the game, then I think having that kind of methodology to approaching things is actually fine. Like I've never met the guy, so obviously I can't really speak much to his personal character, but I assume from something that Wigan just said before that it's very similar. So I suppose, if he's a sticky person in like an actual person, when you're not talking about playing the game, that he's a sticky person, and that happens. And I mean, if you're going to walk through life thinking that everything's going to be candy and flowers, then you've got other things coming. But if you can either get used to that, deal with it, or just avoid it if you really want to, then that's not too bad. So I really hope that Naniwa sticks around for a little bit longer, at least. at least if not on a skill level, then on an entertainment factor.
Yeah, well, I think he's
it's
in a good place with the Alliance because the Alliance is not EG,
Definitely.
but it's tied to EG, so he can still have a support system and continue kind of the controversy, perhaps. I mean, I don't know the business decisions about that, but that is part of the entertainment value. You don't want to get rid of that. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
is
he's
it
obviously doing something right.
Is it something you can turn off when you're dealing with the admins and there's an issue with the stream? Yes, please be professional. But
Oh yeah, like,
I mean, he's obviously doing something right. If he manages to get kicked off so many teams and people are still paying him to play StarCraft, like, he's doing some stuff right. I think people put a lot. I think he's a pretty misunderstood guy. People put a lot of expectations and try to look really deeply into his behavior sometimes, and he's just like, what you see is what you get with him. I think from working with him at a lot of events, like he doesn't seem to have a filter or put on a public face or anything. That's just who he is, and either like him or hate him. It's up to you, I guess.
yeah, he wants to.
You always want people to be professional.
He wants to take home a DreamHack victory though in Sweden. He wants that. That's his
Yeah.
biggest. That's his biggest goal. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Polt, the victor, the MLG
Yeah.
Spring Champion of 2013.
The vicious thumbs downer.
Yeah.
so be it.
Great to see his personality shine even more during the event, and Team Polt was a lot of fun. He was actually my choice to win it, and I was talking to Kibbles, and I was talking to Semi-Pro Joe, and I was telling him, yo, this is Polt's tournament, man. He's going to do it. And when he did it, I was so excited, as people could tell in the crowd. I was so pumped. And I thought it was a great story because he kind of was the USA player because Stefano wasn't there, and also he lives in Texas. He's the closest thing we have to an American.
The part where Polt
him and
got the
Select.
USA chance while playing against Naniwa just really made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, the crowd was so into it. And also the production team, Adam Contini, I got to give a huge shout out to him because when they did the flag coming across the screen, God, that was magic. That was production magic. That made the event for me, man. Oh my gosh, beautiful stuff. So huge congratulations to him. He was very excited. His English is getting better and better and better the more I see him. He, is like a 4.0 student. He went to Seoul University. He took a year off to compete. Now he's studying English. He is a class act. He is a role model for a lot of people. And he's got a good personality. Thumbs down Naniwa, It's everybody's saluting Polt as the American.
Waved around and don't tread on me flag, man.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
He took the flag.
That's one thing that's one thing that I love about MLG specifically is it seems like you get a lot of players that can really bring out their personality on that stage because we have such good crowds there.
Yeah.
That help them get into it. Like you got Kespa players doing backflips and shit. Like you never see that anywhere else.
Yeah, that's the magic of MLG. I never want that to end, man. I never want that to go away. There's nothing like an MLG crowd.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Toronto for NASL, they were amazing. They were amazing. That's probably crowd-wise the only thing that comes close to an MLG crowd. And that was just for one game, And the 3 games at MLG Spring Championship, we'll talk about those a little bit later, but those crowds, oh my gosh, man. I mean, I was just so proud to see how big it was for MLG. It was great. All right, Livy B real quick. Remember the first time a female gamer was on stage? It was Julia. And she, she got an interview with Blizzard and stuff, and it was cool. It was a cool thing to see. Everybody's like, all right, great. And with Livy B, she was up there because of scheduling. She 6-pooled. She had fun. Everybody enjoyed it, and I'm glad that the crowd, and the community is welcoming and stuff like that. Yes, this may not be the top StarCraft, but this person did enter the bracket. This is their scheduled match. Here we go. Let's put it up on stage.
As we say down here, she gave it a go.
Yeah.
She gave it a red hot go. And that's I don't think, even locally, we wouldn't have expected her to eventually be up against Polt and winning the championship. But it's the fact that she gave it a go. She had some fun. She was obviously ecstatic about being in there as well. And, like it was just really cool to see that kind of thing. I am actually really happy that MLG threw that on the main stage. Like there was a lot of people who were kind of thinking, why are we watching this when there's blah 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 on another another stream? Well, go and watch it on the other stream. That's what the community streams are there for. Because funnily enough, yes, there are a lot of games to go through, and I was really happy when I saw that she was going to be on there, and I think in the first game it actually looked a little bit interesting at one point because I thought she actually was very close to it, but then unfortunately it sort of turned around. But and then the sixth ball, which unfortunately didn't go as expected, but that kind of earlier stuff in Zerg versus Zerg Cheese, I seem to never see that work anymore. But it was all a bit of fun, as we said, having a go, and that's what it's all about. Is having some fun and just competing is one of the big things.
Exactly, and it's part of the show. If you have a well-balanced show, if you have not so known players that can have a chance to get up there on the main stage, how thrilled do you think people were? How thrilled was the audience for In Control versus Illusion? Again, this type of tournament with a 128-man bracket kind of telling the American story a little bit better compared to, well, it still was kind of Korean domination, but we still had great things that happened, great moments that happened for a lot of the players. And finally, I want to talk about Moonglade. I had a great conversation with him. Always ecstatic to talk with Moonglade since, I got Australia's back when it comes to esports coverage, try to at least with the Southeast Asia update. We'll still keep those going, man, when we can during WCS. But I was talking to him, about WCS points and the availability for WCS points for people in Southeast Asia, China, Australia, and just had a good conversation about it. And also just to see him compete again and his fan base growing outside of Australia. It was fantastic, and I'm glad that he was able to come out and compete as well. And we'll see. I think for 2014 if something like that.
What did he think in particular about the acquisition of points for C players? Because I haven't actually ever spoken to him about it. Did he think it was easy to do or hard or anything like that in particular?
It was pretty much the same conversation you and I had, Duckville, of having a small scale tournament at that PAX event in Australia or the EB Games event in Australia that you can add on, or something that's hosted at a Barcraft maybe that's local and the Blizzard team gets together and puts it together. It's something that can happen. If it's Home Story Cup style, if it's only broadcasted at one of the days out of the three, still allow for competition to happen in that area to build it more in that region. And it allows them to have access to maybe not the same amount of points compared to people in America, but still more points they have access to now in their region. But again, I'm speaking only on my opinion. I'm not speaking officially in the capacity of Blizzard or anyone. I'm just giving out musings and observations.
You know the thing about, you mentioned the Home Story Cup Australia. Mm-hmm. The barbecue would be freaking awesome.
It would. I would save up money to go.
Because that's what we do best, right?
We do.
Koreans get their +10 racial bonus to being awesome at StarCraft. Americans get, I don't know,
freedom.
+5 to freedom and democracy. We get +10 to barbecue skills, and that's what's happening. Exactly. I'll be and throw another shrimp on the barbie. Say shrimp. But,
I'll try some kangaroo meat.
Exactly. There you go. But anyway.
I would love that. Something simple like that would be awesome. That would be great. I'd love to see it. Okay, well, speaking of the American story, or at least storylines that exist here in the world, this was huge for the crowd to be able to chant USA for Polt, and to have that still nationalistic competition of the foreigners versus the Koreans. It still exists, but we are getting to the point, I feel, talking to other people and getting a sense of what the crowd was like, of having a United States story, an American story, and pushing that story out into the world rather than it competing internally, Region locks, again, bringing that up later on, maybe 2015 down the road, that happening. But I want to see the American story grow, and I want to see more events like MLG had And speaking of which, Dave, this internal tournament that happened, this USA only tournament, can you comment on what exactly it was and what happened?
Probably not.
Okay.
It'll be it'll get announced and stuff.
Okay.
It's not like the NSA is watching you.
Wait.
It'll get. I don't know how much I can say, but it'll get announced pretty soon.
Okay. I saw something
I'm gonna
briefly
err to
on
the
Team
side of
Liquid.
caution.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
not
So we'll go to more details when they're released, so I don't get in trouble as well. Let's talk about the other games that were there real briefly. And the one I want to talk about first is LCS, League of Legends. TSM versus CLG was an amazing game. I actually only got to see the last 5 minutes because I trailed over there to see what was going on. But that was so nuts to see how incredibly enthusiastic the crowd of 16 to 21-year-olds were at that event, man. so loud. And that was a very, very intense game. So I know a lot of people that are fans of StarCraft maybe dog a bit on League of Legends. But if there is one game to watch this year so far, it's Team Solo Mid, Snapdragon Team Solo Mid versus Counterlogic Gaming. That was very, very cool. So make sure to check it out.
Let me you can do links in the chat, right?
Yes. No.
We're just gonna no?
I don't know.
No, can't.
Somebody
Actually,
can? Okay.
link it to me. I might be able to.
Okay. I'm gonna pull up there was a it was just a video from the crowd of towards the end of that game. It's like 15 seconds or so. If I can find it real fast, and it just kind of lets you know a little bit about what it was like to be like in that area and like hear the ridiculous cheering. And it wasn't just like League. Like every game was like that. That's just so amazing about Anaheim.
Oh no, it was great. That was just the first time I was able to go sit in the audience in the crowd, and I was in the front row.
It was incredible, man. It's like we're getting to the point where we need stadiums and shit, not like not a conference hall, you know. Yeah.
Well,
Need that, what was it? Was it DreamHack or was it IEM that had the ice hockey stadium?
DreamHack, I think.
Yeah, I think it was DreamHack. I was really impressed when they came out with that. So I'm expecting big things.
Well, Call of Duty had the biggest crowd yet. And I remember the Call of Duty Black Ops 1 game when it was on the PlayStation for MLG in the Pro Circuit. And it actually would share the stage with the fighting games back in 2012. And to see the crowd kind of small, and the crowd would get bigger and bigger and bigger because of the eliminated teams and players that were watching the rest of the broadcast. And they would get into it. They would get hyped. But the crowd that was at Call of Duty was huge. It was probably the same size as a StarCraft crowd in Dallas or Raleigh. It was big, and they were hyped, man. And it was a good match. It was a good tournament. They had good matches. Treyarch, again, has a great UI system. The only thing I would say for Treyarch, and I said this before, is that the actual box of the gameplay needs to be bigger and the font a little bit smaller. But other than that, Treyarch, again, taking steps in the right direction. And they had Fwiz there. Justine was there. She's tiny, by the way. She's a lot smaller than I thought she was. But I got to talk to them for a bit, and they were very happy about the event. So good on Call of Duty. I'm glad that they are a strong showing to have a strong shooter there. And yes, it is a console-based shooter, but it is a huge audience that you want to market to that plays on consoles. So it would be stupid not to continue to market that. And I saw some of the signs over for StarCraft saying bring CSGO to MLG. So I'm sure the same way for Dota. That kind of depends more on Valve. Wants that to happen. Yeah. And
that's the thing about like the reason so many of these games are blowing up the way they are is their developers support it monetarily and like at a development level.
If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And to build the social engagement instead of waiting for the community to build it themselves, it may take a while for it to build up. But when it does, like we saw for Call of Duty, it is a huge, huge force. And anyone from Infinity Ward that was sitting there realizing, what do we do with Ghosts? Because Treyarch has been way more supportive of the eSports scene for Call of Duty than Infinity Ward has. Hopefully a couple of them open their eyes. Because they were at the Call of Duty final event as well in Hollywood a couple months ago. So it was good. I was happy, man. I was happy for all the crowds, all the games. It was a great event. And people that were complaining about the StarCraft location hey, just that was the way the floor plan worked out with scheduling. The crowd was there, and it was great. And I look forward to the next event happening in November. And we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show here. We need to go through the rest of our notes for today about announcing throughout an entire year all the different dates and if that's even possible in such a fast-moving environment that is esports. Let's go ahead and talk about the WCS American qualifiers, which are actually happening right now. So if you want to tune into that right after shifting gears, go to starcraft2.com/WCS to watch that, or just go to the front page of Twitch. Greetorp and Frodan are there commentating that. And I apologize if my show is going up against them at the same time, but this show's been scheduled for a long, long time at this time frame, and Blizzard wouldn't want to change their schedule. So
I'm sure we're just destroying their numbers right
now. Yeah. No,
God damn it, Blizzard! They should know.
They should know.
We just take all the viewers.
They should know. All hundreds of the people that watch us. Anyways, so make sure to check that out. I actually want to jump over to the schedule here. Let's see if I can do this. Look at that production. Okay. So we have Wednesday. This is actually next week. Let's jump to this week. So that's actually that last week as well. There we go. So it shows off the schedule here. I wish they had a big calendar instead of just a list. But we got 2nd of July. The
voice options would be better.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. Of course. See, American qualifiers tomorrow, same time, round of 8 to round of 4. Then we have Korea, then American qualifier number 2, round of 5-12 to the round of 16. That's Saturday at 3 o'clock. Sunday at 3 o'clock is round of 8 to round of 4. Monday at 3 p.m. is the third set of qualifiers. And then Tuesday at 2 a.m. is Korea, and then at 9 a.m. is Europe. And this is all Pacific time, guys, by the way. And then we'll keep going. We have Premier League for Europe at 9 a.m. The WCS America qualifiers, number 4, 5-12 to 16. And then Tuesday again to the round of 8. So it's like StarCraft 24/7 going on. But I can only focus on the American story. So that's going to continue. And they keep having the schedule on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So you guys can check it out yourselves. But that's what's happening right now for the WCS qualifiers. A couple people from NASL will be there about once a week to commentate. So be Dan and Greetorp or Bitter Dan and Mr. Bitter to do that. But they're only commentating. We're not doing the production yet for WCS qualifiers. That'll be in the next season. But we take over the production at the round of 16. So cool. Make sure to check that out. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be busy watching all that stuff and building the storylines because I have to help produce the American story for StarCraft and for World of Tanks, which is going to be great. So you'll see the NSL commentators help out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now let's go ahead and shift gear, guys, and talk about Smite. Dave and I, we got to play Smite at PAX.
Yeah, we got to play it really early.
Yeah, we got to play it really early, and it was a lot of fun. And I've always been meaning to go back and play it, because I played it when we got access to the beta as well and streamed it for a bit. And I've gone back and played it today, and they have a battle arena, which is, like it sounds, just one arena, and there's one stream of minions, maybe 2 on 2 sides sometimes. But it's a ticket system, kind of like in Battlefield. And you take down the enemy tickets by destroying the opposite minions, or by your minions getting through the other side of this portal, or by getting hero kills. It's a lot of fun, man. And the game lasts about 15 minutes, maybe 20. So if you definitely want to check it out with me, I invite you to. And I invite the rest of you to check it out as well. And playing Smite is free to play, I believe, still. And Hi-Res Studios has developed it. And they've added a lot more gods as well. And they are fun to play. And I'm playing Neith, who's this Egyptian god. I don't know, she's a trickster god. I forget exactly what she is from the Pantheon, but she's nice to look at. And she's a lot of fun to play. A lot of fun to play. So make sure to check that out. Hi-Res, they're doing some good things. There is a team from Root that actually plays Smite professionally, and there's other teams cropping up there. It's a fun game. I really enjoy it. So check that out. Pacific Rim is coming out. This is the summer of sci-fi, I feel. We had Oblivion, which was a cool sci-fi movie. We have Elysium coming out. Gravity is another one with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, which pretty much it looks like there's an explosion. You get sent off into space. Yeah, Bashneg, it looks like Dignitas took over that team, right? So Root guys moved to Dignitas. Yes, thanks about it. I did read about that. Thank you for clarifying. So yeah, Dignitas taking Smite seriously as well. So Pacific Rim is just around the corner. And we've grown up watching shows like Gundam Wing. We've played a lot of mech games. Are you guys excited about this movie? This is a Guillermo del Toro movie? Or is it, you think it's going to be like a Cloverfield, where the excitement and hype was great, but then the movie was, what?
Well, the difference with Cloverfield is that, you know, the first probably 75% of the movie was just horrible. Whereas this, at least, hopefully for, you know, more of the time, there's going to be giant robots. And anytime there's giant robots, it's normally good. Unless it's, like, directed by a certain person whose name ends in Hay. So,
Transformers is awesome, Duckville.
Yeah.
Especially the first movie. The first movie
first
great.
one was good.
First movie is awesome.
It's like the Iron Man series, right? Like the first one was really good, and then they just progressively got shittier until. Yeah,
I love Transformers 1, man. Dude, oh my gosh. Bernie Mac, he's out there, and he's like, "That's my mammy!" And she's flipping him off. He's like, "If I had a rock, I'd smack your head, bitch." That's one of my favorite lines. Or when
Pacific Rim has, what's his name in it? I think his name is Elma. What's his name?
Elvis. Yeah, I know. He was in Prometheus. He was the only good character in that movie. Pilot.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. It should be really good. This is actually, lo and behold, guys, this is actually a movie that I'm probably going to actually go and see.
Wow, Duckville approved to actually check it out in theaters.
That's like a big thing in Australia because you got a chance surviving the outdoors just to get there.
Well, there's not only that, but you know what the best thing is? I don't know how it is in America, but there's a theater near me, or cinema, or whatever you want to call it, that they actually have like a bar at the place where you buy the popcorn and stuff, so you can actually get your alcohol and stuff and go in and take it into the cinema with you. See, as I said, I don't know how it is over there, but that's. I don't think there are too many places like that here.
I went to ArcLight theaters where they're in Southern California. And it was really cool because they had a bar and they had food there. In the theater itself, I don't think you can bring it in, but the usher comes out and gives you an intro to the movie, and it was really cool. But go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, at least in Virginia Beach, we just have to sneak all our stuff in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's nothing.
Yeah.
But
no, this is like it's crazy. I was like. When because my friend who lives nearby was like, yeah, you just buy stuff right there and take it in and they're cool with it. I'm like, what? You serious? She's like, yeah, it's all good. So I have to pull out that old trick again and grab some drinks and watch some giant robots. So it should be fun.
I hope it's gonna be good.
Is there an entertainment tax on those like there is for movies? Like, do you pay like $25 a ticket or something?
I tell you what, it's been so long. I actually have no idea how much tickets cost. I think they're about like $15.
God, yeah, there kind of is then. Yeah,
it's $18.50 for a ticket in IMAX here in Southern California.
Oh, IMAX is.
Yeah, IMAX 3D. Remember when IMAX was just like $10 and then other movies were $8?
Yeah, that was like back in high school, basically.
Yeah. Pacific Rim looks cool. I've liked Guillermo del Toro movies. If I can actually name any of them, I can't right now. Crap.
See, when I first saw,
I haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth yet. I need to watch that.
Pan's Labyrinth is good, but when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be kind of shit, to be honest.
Yeah, what? Pan's Labyrinth or Pacific Rim?
No, Pacific Rim.
Well,
it looked like that. What was that shitty like? What's it called? Battleship movie they made with like Rihanna.
I didn't even see it.
It reminded me of that. I was like, what is this? Like, what are they even doing this? But. I mean, it is Guillermo del Toro, and a lot of my friends are getting really excited for it, so I'm kind of like, kind of looking forward to it, I guess. But I'm also the kind of guy who will just enjoy the hell out of a shitty movie. Like, when we were at the event, spent a night watching Con Air with a bunch of friends, and that is an amazing shitty movie that is just entertaining as hell.
Your dick pops out of your pants, you're popping out of this plane.
Yeah, that is a great film. That's a great film. Anyways, dude, Michael, I love Michael Bay movies because of their humor. One of my favorite lines in Armageddon is they pulls out the gun, and one of the characters is like, "What are you doing with a gun in space?" Because that was the first thing I thought. It's like, he's got a gun in space, man. It's crazy. and Ratchet, when he's talking to Sam and he goes, the boy's pheromone levels indicates he wants to mate with the female. That was great. I love that stuff. It's fun. Anyways, Michael Bay never said he was making Shakespeare films. He was making films with explosions, and he did just that. He did fine. So go ahead and check out Pacific Rim. I actually forgot which date it comes out. When you guys want to Google
July
it?
July 6th.
Oh, this weekend. Well, I think I might go this weekend. Cool. I haven't been to the movies in a little while since Man of Steel, which was awesome.
I haven't been since like Lord of the Rings #1.
What? That's over a decade ago. Well, maybe for us, for you, that was probably 6 weeks ago when they finally got over there. Even though it was made in an island right next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we get to experience the Hobbits all the time. Just anyone from New Zealand. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap up here. 6 minutes left. Time to opine. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone at MLG. It was a great event. They did a fantastic job. The production was great. The storyline was great. The type of tournament format was great. I really loved it. And it was the first time I was a spectator since 2010 at an eSports event for StarCraft. That was kind of, for a big event. The other time was when Dave was competing, and I went there to support him. That was a long time ago. So that was really neat. And what was really funny is that guy that made that Clutch still gets all the ladies. He made the same sign when Clutch gets all the ladies last year. So I was like, dude, I gotta go talk to this guy and get that picture. That was so cool.
I saw you pull him out of the crowd, and I'm like, this is gonna be funny.
Come on. Because what had happened, the technical difficulties going on during the finals, and the crowd was getting kind of anxious. And so my natural inclination to entertain is in overdrive at that point. And so I see that guy, and I go, all right, let's do it. And I bring him out to the center, and I start dancing. And that guy starts, like, booty dancing behind me, and I'd start cracking up, and everybody loved it. It was fun, man. It brought so many memories back, and I had to make a Team Polt sign. I had to do it. So fun to be a part of it, and the crowd was so awesome. Nothing beats those, man. And November, this is what I want to opine about. November is the next event. That's a long ways away, but be it as it may, I'm glad that they announced those dates, because people can plan to go, and it's going to be in Columbus. They can plan to go now. Why is it that we can't have an entire year scheduled like that for NASL, for MLG, for other things? Now, I know some of the answers because, well, things are moving and shifting in the business world, and to commit to some things, you might close too many doors at the beginning of the year. But if you can plan, and you have different titles and whatnot, but if you can plan out an entire year and give all the dates for the year, isn't that more beneficial for everyone? I mean, how long until we know when the Super Bowl is? Isn't it announced, or isn't it known for the next 5 years? I'm not exactly sure, but the Olympics are known years ahead of time.
I mean, that's just like, that's the difference between a traditional sport that's been around for 100 years and esports. You know,
I'm going to agree with most of what you guys say. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's an evolutionary thing of how we sort of move forward with the esports itself, the actual production, and all these kinds of things. Is that eventually it's definitely going to get to a point where we can say, all right, well, next year we've got MLG this day, and this day. We got DreamHack is the week after that, blah blah blah. Here you go, players, go practice on these particular weekends. But another thing I think that is going to be really important for that to happen is, Blizzard making sure they stay on top of supporting these kinds of things and helping the events as much as they can, because I think that is a really important part of it. And I think also, I think that some of the events, in particular MLG, I'm just going to say I don't really care, need to be a little bit more reactive, or not reactive, but sort of
proactive.
Open to suggestions when it comes to things, especially like the map pool. Like sometimes I didn't really see too many people bringing it up, but I still actually don't have a satisfactory answer as to why they changed Core Hull Floating Island. Like, I know, yes, it can be a bitch sometimes when you spawn at the 11 o'clock and the 5 o'clock positions, that sometimes Zergs can rush you, but there's ways to deal with that. They do it in Kesper in Pro League all the time, and I just sometimes I just think I see these things that MLG do, in particular with maps relating to SC2, and I'm just like, what's up with that? But anyway, yeah, no, I would, as I've been over many times, I would really love to see a full scheduling of how the events are going to be running throughout a year. It helps the players, it helps marketing in particular. And, for the people who think that doesn't really matter, you're delusional. Because if you don't have good marketing, players can't get money. Players can't get money, they can't go to events.
It's going to be easier for players to talk to their sponsors all these months ahead of time saying, hey, we'd love to send our players these dates in November. And, okay, we can plan for that. It makes it easier for everyone.
You can even run stuff. You can run advertising-based campaigns that not necessarily, Clutch is going to MLG 2014 in December. It doesn't have to, give us money. It just has to be you can plan your marketing strategies based on the timings of certain.
And what I noticed this year is DreamHack had their dates listed, had the events listed because they knew what they were doing for DreamHack.
Yeah. I mean,
it's tough. It's tough because this is a very fast evolving scene, and and MLG wants to be flexible, especially with the games that they have. That was their 2012 model. They wanted to have the different seasons so that they could add or take away games based on what was happening with them as well. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I can sort of just put it into perspective and say how you should sort of look at scheduling, especially that far in advance for something like this. Is that I think a lot of people don't understand that the vast majority of people that get paid to do anything in esports do it on a contractual, non-full-time basis. Would you agree?
The majority?
The majority of people who get paid to do anything in esports don't do it full-time.
It's not as if they have a salary, you mean?
Right. They're not doing it full-time.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. No one gets paid to do anything down here. So
the on-screen...
It's mostly the same anywhere else.
The on-screen faces, they're mostly contracts, but the people that plan the events...
Yeah, but
the people that...
Look at MLG.
The people that work in the offices at MLG, their salary, most of the ones that make the decisions.
Oh yeah,
Same
most
for
of the ones that
NSL.
make the decisions, but most of the bodies of people that are actually there.
The event bodies. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah,
sure.
Contracts.
Yeah. Look, at events and just even the tech guys at events are on a contractual basis and things like that. And as long as that's the case, then you're probably not going to see year in advance planning because you don't know what you're getting.
Well, I find that very counterintuitive to wait.
I would rather think that's a symptom. That's not a cause.
I'd rather as a contractor.
No, it's not a cause, but it's a way you can look at it very easily.
Right.
As you're working with people on a contractual basis that you might not even have those people available.
But then wouldn't you want to give them the dates as fast as you could and as much time as you could so that you could lock down those dates with them?
I mean, sure, you'd like to, but that's just not how it works yet. You don't at an MLG. How can you even be sure you'll have a specific game? What if something goes wrong with an agreement with the company or something?
Yeah, well, no, that's what I meant for the 2012 season. I can understand why for those 4 seasons they had to determine which games they were going to have there. But now, if League of Legends, Call of Duty, and StarCraft have, year I don't know what kind of contracts they have with MLG. I don't. But if you make a year contract, and what those contracts are good to go, for example, 2014 is good to go with those 3 games, and you build a show around those 3 games, and then you're able to have different areas for the other games, like promotional titles or whatnot, like what WCG does. They have the set games, and they have promotional games. If you set that up, then you can plan the whole year for those 3 games, and then have another spot that you can interchange or whatnot. I don't know. This. I'm still learning a lot about business. I'm just throwing things out there from my little peon world of, hey, maybe scheduling wise, this is how it could work. I prefer to plan ahead and to have information way ahead of time so I can plan accordingly.
Everybody would want to plan ahead. I just everything is done on such an on case what's next, not what's immediately in front of you basis in esports. That's I can't even imagine a world yet where we'll have a year in advance dates planned out, everything, and you're absolutely sure everything is happening with no hiccups beforehand or anything.
Well, with LCS and WCS now, since the developer is pretty much in charge of what's happening with their game, they can do that. They can say, okay.
Yeah, I mean, MLG was totally going to run 2 seasons of WCS, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I hope to see MLG still part of that storyline and interwoven into WCS somehow, some way, because those crowds are great. All right, guys.
Oh, sure.
Let's go ahead and wind down here. Final thoughts and shout-outs. Dave, I'll let you go first.
Shout out to Dave's webcam.
Shout out to my webcam not working today for some reason. Shout out to all the community casters. Those guys did like a totally awesome job and were absolutely pleasant to work with. Especially the NASL guys who were extremely professional and made my job very easy. And shout out to you, man. It's good to see you.
It was, man. It really was. It's been too long. November's going to be forever.
Yeah.
I plan on going. It just depends on scheduling. So as of right now, I haven't looked at my work schedule because it's on my desk at work, but I got to go check it out tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I can make it. Duckville.
A couple things. Pro Baby, #1 spectator at MLG. Did you get to see the Pro Baby or say hello, Clutch?
Ian Shikino?
What? No, the Pro Baby.
The Pro Baby.
With the probe hat.
Oh, no, I didn't get to see the Pro Baby. I thought you were talking about the Observer.
No.
Funny story about Ian Shikino. When I first met him for the Beta Caster program online, he wouldn't give us his real name, so we listed him under Turd Ferguson for credits. I still don't know his real name. It says call him Ian Shikino.
It was his birthday the other day, interestingly.
Yeah.
But anyway,
no, I didn't see it, baby, but that's cool.
Friend of mine who took a kid and they made a probe hat. It was on the top of the SC Reddit for a little while as well, which was really cute.
Oh, cool.
So they had a lot of fun there at the event, it seems. Some people did also ask me why I hadn't gotten a job with doing the MLG community casting thing. The call out went at the same time as DreamHack, and I just sort of wanted to focus on one, so I only did DreamHack, and because I kind of didn't want to take 2 spots because obviously I know a lot of there are a lot more casters in the US that would want to have a go at that. So
There's only one Duckville. There's only one.
Well, yeah, that's true, but yeah, so that's why I didn't do it. But depending on timing and that kind of stuff, I may look at the next one if if they are still doing it at the time. But other than that, of course, normal sorts of stuff. I've got some YouTube casts that are now back up this today. Put up 2 featuring Liquid Ret, so jump onto youtube.com/DuckvilleLol to have a look at some Ret games from his Team Liquid replay pack that went up the other day. A couple of ZVPs where Ret goes crazy and presses SD for about a year. But other than that, I am streaming still, of course, a lot on my channel. And say hello on Twitter and particularly Facebook. I've been trying to get some more folks up on my Facebook, facebook.com/duckville.casting. I'd love to see if you don't even have to necessarily post heaps. I would just like, people to jump on there every now and then. What I do on the Facebook for myself is, obviously I'll list when I'm doing some things, but I also like to post when streams are happening, like obviously events and that kind of stuff. And sometimes I link in sort of random streams to various community people. So that'd be good if you guys could jump on there. What else have I got? Oh yeah, IEM this weekend. I will be doing the IEM. What is it? IEM China qualifiers on the ESL stream. So tune into that if you can. I'm not sure what time it's on for you guys, but that should be fun. Shout out to Corinne, and that's about it, I guess. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, great. You guys can follow DB Wiggin at DB Wiggin and Duckville at Duckville. It shows on the screen. You can follow me on Twitter at Clux08. Huge shout out again to MLG, great show. And go ahead and tune in to the WCS qualifiers happening right now. StarCraft2.com/WCS, which is the front page of Twitch. Make sure to watch that. World of Tanks Season 1 League play begins July 11th. Tune in. Also, speaking of schedules, we got to release that we're having the Season 1 finals for the World of Tanks North America League happening August 17th and 18th in Las Vegas at Treasure Island. So definitely check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching Shifting Gears. We'll see you guys next week. If we do have to change the time because of WCS stuff, I'll let you guys know ahead of time. But for the most part, they should change. We were here first. We were here first. All right. See you guys later.